Call the meeting to order for the Street Municipal Utilities. We'd start with roll call. John?
Here.
Shirley? Francis?
Here.
Kim?
Here.
Corey? Here. Agenda approval.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by John. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. Francis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Corey? Aye. All right. Saint Center, Cultural Center grant agreement. I asked Greg to come meet in front of the group.
Good.
Just discuss. I know the city has designated some money for that project there, and so I guess we just need to discuss as a group how we should go about paying down on this Project Restore revolving loan that's outstanding. And so how much was the funds that the city?
30,000.
30. Okay.
And is that essentially for 1 year? I mean, is it?
Yeah, 30,000 per year, I think, for till 2023, I believe, for 3 years. And they said I could reapply for more after that time frame.
And I see by the agreement that your expense for the lease is $1 a year. Is that correct, Greg?
Yep, that's right.
And I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But is it possible that, hopefully you and we envision that at some point you're gonna make a profit out of it.
Right, yeah, that's my plan, hopefully.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe in the first 3 years of this or whatever it takes to pay this loan off, could that profit be placed against that loan, or how do you envision that? Or is the payment of the loan all gonna come from grants, Ash?
The idea of giving them the 30,000 is to help them pay your grant,
Okay,
So for them to be here tonight is to discuss how we want them to pay some of that grant. We put this information on the table where it shows that they owe us $95,000 for the grant, and the payment was supposed to be made of $16,000 a year. They haven't made the one for 2019 and 2020, and there will be one coming up for 2021. So I think he's here tonight to discuss with you how we want him to pay that stuff, or we can set something with him.
where does the grant come from?
The grant comes from TIF. We
Oh, I see.
certify for
Okay.
TIF and give him
Okay.
the 30,000.
So do you anticipate that happening every year then,
I
Ash?
think they will be able to apply for it every year for the council to approve it.
Okay.
I got a question.
Sure.
So when you took over, what kind of finances did they have in their accounts? Did they give you all of the accounts?
I'm not aware of what they were, I guess, had going on.
I guess they wouldn't have to share that with him, just like they didn't have to share it with us, but
Well, why wouldn't they? Because if it went from Project Restore to him taking over, Tom's still involved in it, so it's still Project Restore, right?
well, and I'm not sure Greg needs to be in that discussion. I think that still comes back to between us and Project Restore. And I'm not opposed to actually going after and finding out, taking legal action to find out what their assets are.
Okay.
And I would say, let's go after those assets, because it'd be a way to help Greg pay this note
That's
off.
what I was thinking. that's gonna just help
I think
him.
there's some, I'm like you, Kim, I think there's some assets there that,
Well, when you get that much interest, there's more there than what they're showing.
and I don't know if our attorney can look into what, Ash, did she say anything about if there's a potential for us to litigate that?
She hasn't really indicated that, but I think maybe after we get done tonight from setting things up with Greg, we can have her come to the next meeting or something, because it'll be a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not sure Greg's in that discussion, except if we can leverage a little of his profit out of him to help pay for this, for this note. And he can tell us to go jump in a lake and probably should, you know? Because quite honestly, my feeling here is that Greg has kind of reached down and grabbed us all by the nape of the neck and pulling us up out of this muck, you know?
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I'm feeling. Why should it be all put on him?
Right, yeah, I agree.
And I do
100%.
agree with that too. I think previous people should not get off the
Right.
hook scot-free.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too.
Especially the way that they presented themselves to us over the past, you know.
Yep.
Especially if, Greg's paying $1 a year for the lease. They didn't pay anything. It didn't cost them anything to operate for 99 years, I think, until one of them said
Did they pay the utilities or
They
did
pay
this-
the
That's one
utilities?
thing that is changing.
that he does not have to pay the utilities, the city is or utilities is or whatever?
Well, it's
Because it's a city building.
a city building.
Right.
So,
So
and
that'll help him a little bit.
it will help him a little, quite a bit. I suspect
I have a
utilities.
list, I have a list of my expenses and stuff. If you guys
What,
want to follow along with
if we
that.
can ask, you don't have to tell us, but what have your utilities been?
Oh, I figured up average since I started, it's been 194, 97 a month.
That's not as bad as I thought.
No,
I've been trying to I've been trying to cut corners a little bit, and that's been one of the problems. Is, I don't know, just it's hard. Like when the pipes froze this winter, I didn't want to have the heat on as high, just to try to save money in that regard.
How much is the
You're
gas?
learning the building
Yeah,
as you
I
go.
can- Yeah, well, I can print you guys. I have a copy, I think, for everybody if you want to take a look at it. Just monthly.
Yes, you are learning the building as you go also.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't want to share that one, but
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
that's, I guess about where I'm at as of today with everything. And it's just, I just did a simple little rundown, quick was all I did.
Sure.
I actually think that's more than we got from Project Restore.
Yeah.
I see here you put insurance on here. Ash, have you talked to Lauren, or Greg, have you talked to Lauren about how this is gonna impact the insurance policy? Because right now, the insurance policy is written for Project Restore,
Right. I
and the
think
name
that's-
insured is probably gonna have to change.
I think that's the part of the agreement that the city wanted, right, was for me to continue to operate as Project Restore.
Oh, okay,
Is for sale or property tax purposes, since they're a nonprofit. And
check with Lauren, make sure that he understands all of that, because I don't think he does right now. He was at the city council meeting last week, and he and I talked a little bit about this, and I'm not sure we need to get him on the same page as the rest of us are. And he can work with Jester to make that happen and get that policy written properly. So, as you and Greg may want to meet with Lauren and go over that with him, so we get that, so he can get it done right. Because it's important that the name insured everybody understands who the name insured is.
We can work together, yeah.
So,
Need any help, yes.
just so Lauren understands that and can arrange the insurance properly, so.
So essentially 15,000 is due for the 2019 payment, because they did pay the one. 16,000 is due for 2020. So there's 31,000, and then 16,000 is due in August of this year. So what was you thinking, the use of the 30,000?
Well, I was kind of hoping to, like, half of it could go to paying off this loan and half to help pay some of my expenses and stuff, because right now it's hard to get going just because like insurance is super high and that kind of stuff, and I just don't have enough right now anyway to like do the marketing that I'd like to do to kind of get my name out there and bring in different kind of business. And I'd like to do like turn it into kind of like a music venue kind of thing too from time to time. And bands right now are like, to bring in anybody word that anybody's gonna pay to come see, they're like $2,500 to come in, and so right now I've just been kind of.
You gotta have something to prime the pump a little bit.
Yeah, I've just been kind of keeping afloat right now, and I've been kind of using some of my own money a little bit here time to time, which I know is part of any new business, but so I guess that's kind of what my.
One of the things you could talk about, and I don't like this idea, and I've been away from insurance too long, but for functional replacement costs. It would lower the premium. If something happened to that building, you wouldn't put it back the way it was, and maybe you wouldn't anyway. But ask him about functional replacement costs. I think the premium would probably be lower, because I suspect that's what you're paying most for is.
Yeah, also, I think it's property, and then there's like.
Oh, you got liability there too.
Right, yeah. Cause like
Yeah.
if I have events though too, I also make people get their own general liability
Right.
insurance to
Yeah,
cover
you'll
their
want to do
events.
that for sure.
Right, yeah.
So, and Lauren can help you with that too. That'll organize your certificate of insurance when that happens, so. Because you're dealing, the building you're gonna be in is a city building.
Mhm.
So you may be eligible for some of the, I can't think of the term I'm using, but there are certain exceptions to liability for municipalities.
Okay,
In other words, where some businessmen might be liable, because you're a municipality, you would not be.
okay,
So, but you need to, again, there's some language that needs to go on the certificate of liability insurance to make that happen. So, but ask him about functional replacement costs and see if that'd save any money. And he and Jester can explain to you what that is. Like I say, I've been away from it long enough to, if I told you, I'd probably be wrong.
so
So
a couple $100 here and there right now.
it might change it that much, because I would guess that your replacement cost property premium for that building is probably the major part of that premium.
Right, yeah.
So.
On an annual basis, and that just using your monthly number. A month utilities, that's equates to 2340 a year, so that'll go away for them, so that'll help some. But
Greg, once we get past, and once you get the utility board out of this thing, after this loan is paid off, just asking this question, I was thinking about this the other night and I made a note about it. And Ash knows and Mike knows that, and probably Corey for that matter, knows that I've never been a big fan of the utility company paying all the utility bills for the city. And I asked this question just because it occurred to me, after we get this loan paid off, is it possible that Saint Center LLC could then pay the utilities instead of the city paying them for it?
Yeah,
Are you comfortable with that or not?
That's fine with me. I think right now, yeah, the biggest expense will probably be this paying back this loan, so.
Yes, and
Which I mean, hopefully, like you said, eventually I'll start being able to make a pretty good profit in time and I'll be able to not have to.
And nobody
rely on-
likes expenses in there, but that's gonna help you, tell you what the actual cost of doing business is. You know, if you're paying a monthly utility bill, and this really doesn't look to be that bad, I would.
No, I thought maybe more, but.
I do too.
I think at least 300 or 400.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a big
So-
facility.
you know, that may be, and we don't have to decide that tonight, but that may be something we just wanna keep in the back of our head,
Yeah,
that
I'm totally fine.
once this thing is done and gone, we can look at doing that, you know, and, so that was just a question I had.
My feelings are that if we could get, the balance of that 19 paid to 15,000, I feel we have way more opportunity now than what we had with
Oh, I
previous.
agree, Cory.
And I do understand that he needs some of those funds for getting the business up and going, and that's crucial for him. It could be one of those things, once it does start rolling, just snowball and things will
Right,
be
that's-
flying
that's
for
what
you.
I'm hoping-
And,
that's what I'm hoping for, so.
I mean, it's a beautiful facility. It's just,
Has your activity, you know, the people you're renting it to, have you had good response to it, Greg?
Yeah. I
Good.
mean, so far it's just been a lot of smaller events, though, like I said, I'm hopefully with some of this money that I can put it towards marketing to reach.
They
'Cause
got-
What I'd
that's-
like to, because the weddings, like, is where I'd make
mhm.
the most money, and to do that, I gotta kind of reach out and. 'cause
And
right now
that's
I'm just
something, quite
doing-
frankly, Project Restore just did not do, you
Right,
know?
well, that's what, like, I've been trying to build a social media presence right now, just to reach a lot of the younger generation, because I'm like, me especially, I got married this past summer, and I didn't even know that that place was available to rent out for a wedding like that, so I ended up paying like $6,500 to rent a place in Adel to
Mhm.
have a wedding.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the big, the other place is the one over at Adair, and I think there's one in Greenfield. And of course, you can always go to Des Moines and find these places,
Right.
but.
Yeah.
I think the attitude we had from Project Restore was that, you know, it was such a nice facility that people were just gonna naturally flock to that. Well, you've been around business long enough, if you don't market something like that, it's gonna sit there. you
Yeah, so
know?
that's so far, that's been my biggest challenge.
Yeah,
So I mean, I've just kind of been relying on social media right now, which I mean, it's free to do, but I don't know if it doesn't reach as many people.
No,
as I'd
that's
like,
right.
But it's,
yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the intention is to have him pay the $15,000, and that will cover the 2,000.
18.
The 2019, that covers the balance of the 2019 payment.
Okay,
And then I would propose that we revisit next year.
and there's a payment coming up in August.
Oh,
Okay.
Right. Well, there's payment in August, but I mean, we probably aren't gonna be looking any more payments until a year from now when he gets the next $30,000
Okay,
grant. And then, but I'm not saying I agree to 15,000 next year as well. I'm saying for this year.
Right, right.
And then see how things progress.
right. hopefully
And
by then-
visit.
And that's about the only way we're gonna get out of this, is just take one step at a time.
okay, good. So our motion will be is to approve that agreement that the city approved and approve that they will pay $15,000 to cover the remaining of the 2019 payment.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, moved by John.
I'll second.
Okay. John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Corey? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
If there's anything we can do to give you a hand, let us
Yeah,
know.
taking care of the utilities is gonna help a whole lot, so.
Okay,
Who knows, maybe next year you can pay the whole
Right,
thing
that's
off.
right.
That's right.
And that's why it's, cause there is no, is there a fee for early?
Oh, no.
actually, I think my understanding is that we actually haven't, because of the extension we made to them few years ago, that it extended the loan payment out to like 2025.
Okay.
So if we can get it done in the next 3 years, we're still ahead of the game.
Right, that's,
So,
yeah, I wanna get it taken care of. as
Yeah,
quick as I can to get
yeah,
out
we
from-
just, you're
Get
like,
out from under it, so.
I understand. Well, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
yeah,
thank
we
you
do,
guys.
Greg. We
And trust
appreciate it
me,
a
we
lot.
all wish you the best of luck.
We
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I think in the right hands, that can be a
Oh, it can be,
monster.
oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Lots of potential there.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
I'm excited about it again
Yeah.
now, so. I will really appreciate
Well,
it.
very good. We'll appreciate it. Is there any other discussion before we adjourn?
No.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Appreciate it a lot. Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
Thank you all for coming.
You bet.
Appreciate it.